really hoping for short and sweet here because this is just a reaction to the first part of the video, around minute like 421. And I clicked on it because I wanted to fall for the clickbait. I don't have any particularly simplistic view on abortion. In fact, I think it's one of the most important places to have a nuanced view. But actually, this video isn't about abortion at all, actually. Because in the first 4 minutes, he just talks about definitions of happiness. It's something like Jordan Peterson destroys view on abortion. It's a baby. You'll find it. It's about a 19-minute video, and this reaction has nothing to do with the other 19 minutes. I just wanted to hypothesize something. Because these videos for me are a kind of hopeful legacy. I feel a certain responsibility to put certain theories out there and make sure that, I don't know, I'm one of those people who's always journaling for posterity, and well, I guess I should just get to it. I want to hypothesize that our culture has assigned us the task of happiness precisely as part of its because she's not conscious. She's just an evolutionary phenomenon. In fact, I think of cultures as very similar to viruses. Actually, it's kind of interesting. Agent Smith in The Matrix isn't too far off. He's a little bit wrong, of course. He's dead wrong about one thing. It's not humanity that acts like a virus, it's our culture. And I would say that our culture acts a little bit more like a cancer than a virus. But that's all quibbling niggles over tidbits of difference, except for the human part. Any reader of Daniel Quinn will hopefully remember that there's a kind of key distinction there when you've got one culture of a species acting like a virus versus as if the species was doing that. So, in evolutionary terms, you learn to think of evolved phenomena acting as if they have a conscious will, which evolution very much does not, that we know of. And Darwinian theory does not rely on evolution having any kind of conscious will. But it really opens up the way to a lot of very interesting thoughts, like what if our culture, what if first of all civilization is like a tribe, and what if civilization has a culture just like any random tribe has a culture? Like, the Plains Indians had a culture, and then of course each tribe of the Plains Indians had a culture. And then if you're talking about something that you've heard of like the Sioux or something like that, they were actually a tribe of tribes that had a culture. Culture is a chimera. It's a very interesting word. You never really quite get it in your fingers. It's like gripping a handful of dry sand. There's definitely something there, but the tighter you squeeze, the more of it slips away. Anyway, there's certainly such a thing as, rock climbing culture, and even American culture, as ephemeral as that is. Very chimerical, American culture. Certainly a more homogeneous culture like Japan has a culture. So why can't civilization have a culture? And if civilization has a culture, that means this entity is subject to natural selection. And anything that's subject to natural selection, like our genes and plants and animals and stuff, always acts as if it has a will of its own. And this whole concept of happiness is so dysfunctional, so good at making us dissatisfied and effectively unhappy, and thus susceptible to market forces, basically. Makes us more employable, I would say. It's so effective. Looking for happiness, seeking happiness, making happiness the goal of your life is so counterproductive that it just seems too perfect to me. It seems as if our culture evolved the very notion of the pursuit of happiness as the goal of life, precisely because it's so effective at making us so unhappy that we keep coming back to it for more. Capitalism just being the latest incarnation of it. Yes, our unhappiness and atomization makes us more susceptible, show up to our jobs, buy our products, talk to ourselves in cafes while staring at screens and imagining we're doing something different. This is just screen time. This is just depravity. This is still just me doing nothing. I'm going to regret this if I do this for very long. That's why, this is part of the reason why I'm doing this. Needing to leave this message for posterity, because much as I envy YouTubers like Joe Scott, I honestly don't think I want to be like them. I envy his stable family life. I don't know that I envy him as a YouTuber, even as I'm attempting to be one. What does this video have? Are you the third viewer of this video? Or are you the first? So that's important to me, to recognize that if and when I ever gain a little more fulfillment in life, it may or may not involve talking publicly about these thoughts, sharing these theories, these hypotheses with you or anyone, even myself. It may largely have to involve a kind of break from my normal psychology. In other words, if we were to hypothesize a better way for me to be more healthy, it might involve... It's always a sign when even just getting stoned all the time would probably be better. I mean, how many of us would probably be better off if we just got baked for the next couple of years and literally just kind of took care of ourselves, and we're too out of it, too out of it to keep harming ourselves. So I'm at that point where it would almost seem, if I could make myself stop drinking the coffee and stop experimenting with the kratom and stop with my lingering alcoholism, which is almost gone, but is still just kind of out there floating at the periphery. And if only I had access to a therapeutic setting in which I could take a pretty large dose of mushrooms and see what kind of radical mindset transformation I might get out of that. The research on that is actually very promising, but I don't have access to any of that. I would almost hypothesize that if I could just force myself to get stoned all the time for the next 6 months, to where just showing up to my job, and just, sweeping, I might, you never know. I applied for an internship at an organic farm. I might start just getting a little baked and playing in the dirt and being less hard on myself. But in the meantime, I've got to share these theories. I think it's important. And this check-in, I don't know if anyone might gain anything from my personal experience. I have this sneaking suspicion like I am not nearly as alone as my culture has conditioned me to feel. I'm not saying that I'm making up this experience of aloneness, because that would make it worse. So I don't blame myself. I understand. I accept and empathize. I have some compassion around my feeling of isolation, as if no one would ever get this. And I'm expressing that compassion, that self-compassion to you right now. If you're connecting with this, I had a feeling you were out there. And thank you. Thank you, even just hypothetical, abstract, I hope you exist, you out there giving this 22 views or 23 views or whatever. Being another human sharing. And the paradox of being a member of the most connected and isolated society that has ever existed. if I am not alone, and if you're here, I'm not. No one makes it through 10 minutes of this crap unless they're connecting to something in it. Then you're not alone either. Bye. Aw.